guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I have another video for you in which I analyze your gameplay. If you're interested in more reviews and gameplay, go to YouTube and search for World of Tanks with Bruce to get all of my videos, or click on the subscribe button. And now let's go. If you guys want me to review and analyze your gameplay, then send your replay to wotwithbruce@gmx.de. If you want to know how you can download replays and send them to me, just watch the first video of this season. In this video I explain everything you need to know. Keep in mind that your replay should either be a loss or at least gameplay which could need some improvement, because after all we all want to learn something out of it. Now, having that said, let's start with the replay. Alright, so here we are in the game. The Sick Joker is spawning on Erlenberg in his T30 in the south. And let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options he has. Spawning on Erlenberg with the T30, you have tons of options. You can go to the zero lane and try to play hull down here. Now, you can also go to the, let's say, the typical TD positions in the back and conduct red line sniping. But then you can also, or by the way, do the same thing right here. But you can also move alongside with your heavy tanks and try to brawl with your heavy tanks against the enemy forces in the city. Okay, so let's see where he goes. If you ask me, I would play the T30 more as a heavy tank because it has a fully rotatable turret. It has a relatively unprecise gun and a high alpha damage. So in my opinion, this tank is made for close quarters combat. Now, the hull of the tank is super weak, however the turret is super strong. So what you could do in this tank is you could try to get a hull down position and play and brawl frontally against heavy tanks. And in my opinion, this gun is not made for sniping just because the aim time is lackluster, and also the gun is relatively unprecise. But looks like you are basically trying to conduct some sniping. So this is my first, so basically my first recommendation for you is try to play the T30 more as a heavy tank instead of a tank destroyer. The Gorilla 15 on the other hand is the typical tank destroyer, but the Gorilla does not have any armor, and so the Gorilla is basically not so much made for brawling against heavy tanks. Having that said, with the Gorilla you can also conduct second line gameplay, but yeah, back to the T30. So you are basically trying to get some lines of fire into the city, which is good. But I think your gameplay is too defensively. Now let's pause here and let's take a look at the minimap. So in this situation, basically the majority of your team is playing in the city. So at your current position you do not have too much support. Keep in mind the view range of your tank is relatively lackluster, plus the only medium tank which is on your side, the 122 TM, is playing on the right hand side of the castle. So tanks which are approaching on the left hand side will not be spotted, at least not early, and they will also not be entangled in a fight with the medium tank. So yeah, the support, that's simply what I want to say, is not very big. So let's see. But you're continuing your gameplay into your position, so your sniping gameplay, your sniping tank destroyer gameplay, which is okay. And another thing I would say is I would take a look, and I think we can do this after the replay. We can take a look at the camo values of the T30. So I think the T30's camo is not very good. simply because it's a huge bulky tank, and another reason why you can and should play this tank more as a heavy tank. This is not a sneaky tank destroyer, which you want to use to sit and wait in a bush, and you simply want to use the strength of your tank to your advantages, which is once again the high alpha damage and the superb turret armor. And so finding a hull down position and brawling against your opponents in this hull down position is what you want to do in this tank. Now keep in mind the DPM is also lackluster, so you need to have teammates which are supporting you, because otherwise you will get pushed out of your position. But yeah, so here you go, that's the first victim. Okay, you tried to snapshot him, it didn't work, which is fine, but maybe you get the next opportunity sooner or later. So in my opinion, the gameplay so far is way too defensive, and as you can see, your heavy tanks are currently all one after the other dying in the city. And as you can see, the T-30 of the enemy team is also brawling in the city. And I mean, keep in mind, you have one of the highest alpha guns in the game, so you can really make the difference in the city. If you let the E75, for example, take damage, okay, fully aim in, nice, first shot, excellent, 794, and this must be so rewarding to get a penetrating shot in such a high alpha gun. But yeah, if you, for example, brawl with your, let's say, with your tortoise in the, with your E75 in the city, and let those tanks take all the damage, and then basically conduct second line gameplay, you can basically stay alive until the end of the game, and you will have multiple opportunities to deal damage. Also, if you would have brawled in the city, you would have taken nice next shot. Okay, so you would have had the opportunity to basically mitigate the bad accuracy of your gun by simply fighting closer to the enemy tanks. Okay, snapshot, nice. This was a lucky snapshot, 2200 damage, and yeah, so I think the point is made. So in my opinion, you're playing way too defensively, and with this defensive gameplay, your influence on the game is very, very limited. So had you brawled alongside with your heavy tanks in the city, chances are that you would have actually won the city, and if you would have won the city, then the game would have been a victory at this point in time, because your medium tanks have won the eastern flank, the zero lane. Your 122 TM, okay, is now getting taken out of the game, but the game is relatively close, and this is despite the fact that the opposing tanks have won the city. So let's see. Maybe you can get at least another shot. The only good thing right now is that your team has map control, but then on the other hand, it doesn't give you too much of a benefit, because the enemy tanks can certainly hide in the city. So okay, let's pause here real quick. So if you take a look at the minimap, the Badger is almost is low HP. The T-30 is low HP, and the BZ-176 is also low HP. Those tanks have been spotted in the city. You are right now full HP, so you can consciously trade your hit points. So your game plan could have been to make pressure at this point. So forget what you are doing right, or forget what you have been doing so far, so sitting in the back of the map and sniping. But now this is the point where you could clearly bring your HP into the battle. So sitting around is completely useless. So at this point in time, you should support your medium tanks and your light tank, the Senlak in the north, by going into the city and by making pressure towards those tanks. Because if you do not make pressure towards the Badger, the T-30 and the BZ-176, then those tanks can turn around and can make pressure towards the Senlak and the URAS 15-16. And so you could help your teammates by moving towards the city, and you could even take out all those 3 tanks with a little bit of luck and with some smart gameplay, because you are still full HP. Look at what the BZ-176 is now doing. He has turned around because obviously he wants to defend the cap, and now it is super difficult for the US-1560 to fight against 3 or even 4 tanks. Now you're finally moving, which is good. The GSOR is now also finally moving. A little bit too late if you ask me. The Badger fortunately is still in the city. He should be taken out by the GSOR. Nice, yep. And now the US-1516 and the Senlek have the chance to hunt down the US-1516. The US-1516 looks as if he's a good player, but he has no chance against 3 tanks. Keep in mind the Stritzwagen 103 is also aiming towards his position. And so now you are in a very difficult situation, because now the enemy US-1516 is not spotted anymore, and now he has the mobility to basically circle you. He has the spotting advantage because he is playing in a medium tank, plus outspotting the Stritzwagen 103, which is actually a sneaky tank destroyer, is super difficult. The good thing is that the GSOR and the AT-15 could take out the tanks in the city, something that you could also have been doing. But now let's see now. Okay, the Stritzwagen, yeah, 103 has taken out your teammate, the Gorilla 15. Yeah, the problem is that his camo value is just superb, and there's nothing you can do. Now what you can do in this situation, let's pause here. So in this situation, what you do not want to do is you do not want to push frontally against the Stritzwagen 103, because he has the camo advantage, and so you will eat multiple shots before you spot him. Instead, what you can do is you can try to find a hull down position, get spotted, basically bait a shot into your turret, bounce this shot, then spot him, because even in a Stritzwagen, if you take a shot, then your camo is reduced significantly. So maybe that is what you are doing in this situation, which is good. Plus, meanwhile, obviously you can also try to wait for the support of your teammates, but the problem is that in order to help you, they have to push out over an open field, which is always bad. Looks like your teammates are pinging this position, and yep, you are not risking too much, which is good. And you are waiting for the GSOR, which is also good. Now, be cautious here, because depending on the position of the US-1516, he will get a shot onto you and you will get spotted. So looks like so far you're not spotted, and now the GSOR is in a position to help you, so you should now also try to help the GSOR 1008. Now in this situation, what you can do is you can ping him, or basically tell him that you will be supporting him. Now as he is moving out, you have to follow him and you have to make sure to help him. So in this situation, do not hide, but simply push alongside with him, because you want to consciously trade your HP right now and help him to push you to push him out. In my opinion, you are now too defensively, and keep in mind the time is also running out. So you have still 1600 HP, so it takes 4 shots or maybe 5 shots until you are taken out by the Stritzwagen. So you can easily take damage, and you should now certainly make pressure. Now in this situation, what you need to do is you need to make sure to kill at least one adversary tank as soon as possible. So yeah, so yeah, in this situation, in my opinion, you are way too defensively, and you should be helping the GSOR. So well, you are actually, yeah, T30, just go. He is exactly right, the Senlek, because you should now simply move forward. You are full HP. That is correct. So once again, in my opinion, being full HP with the 750 alpha gun at the end of the game, it's not your turn to stay defensively. And as you can see, you are so far back that you are not even in the position to spot the Stritzrock 103. So yeah, but don't get me wrong, thanks a lot for sharing your replay, and my biggest recommendation is to watch my video about the 3 phases of the fight. Now there's only 3 minutes to go, so what you could do is you could basically drive straight towards the enemy cap circle. Yes, you will get spotted, yes, you will take shots, and yes, you might get taken out, but you will give the G-Saw the opportunity to make his full clip. So this is another opportunity what you can do. Now you should have gone this way. This is it's a good way of approaching the enemy base because you are for the most part playing hull down, but you should have done this move 4 minutes earlier, or maybe 5 minutes earlier into the game. Now, once again, you are full HP, so nothing hinders you to simply drive towards the enemy base. Yeah, and all your teammates are writing just go, just go, just go. So you're way too defensively. At the end of the game, you should consciously trade in your HP in order to either make damage on your own or to at least give your teammates the chance to make damage. So you get another shot, which is nice. You're 3000 damage, and you even bounce a shot of the Judas 1516, which is nice. And yes, you are now taking damage, but this is no problem at all because you're full HP, or you used to be full. You had been full HP. Nice. And okay, that was a nice kill. I very much liked it. So now, and do you get the? Okay, perfect. So yeah, okay. So that was a game-winning move. It was relatively close. So all in all, don't get me wrong, nothing beats success. So in the end, you win the game, you carry the game, which is nice. In my opinion, you could have won, or your team could have won the game much earlier. First of all, I think playing the T30 as a redline sniper is not the most successful way of playing this tank. Let's put it like that. Then the second thing is, or alongside with this, is you should play this tank more as a heavy tank, maybe out of the second line if you're playing in a city like on Erlenberg, but you can certainly play more aggressively, follow your heavy tanks, and just support them in the city at a time where the support is needed. In this game, I think your team could have won, let's say, 8 minutes earlier if you had helped your team in the city, and if your team could have won the city. At the end of the game, once again, my recommendation is watch my video about the 3 phases of each battle. If you enter phase 3, then it is time to consciously trade your HP. So help out your team, drive forward, eat shots, but relieve the pressure of your teammates by making the enemy tanks focus you, and you have the HP that you can consciously trade in. Once again, nothing beats success, and if you do not know what to do, then rather preserve your HP instead of wasting your tank. This is all correct, but I think you can play more aggressively by playing the tank more as a heavy tank. That's number 1, and number 2 is by consciously trading in your HP at the end of the game when you still are full HP. So I think those are my 2 recommendations for you in your T30. So after the game, let's quickly take a look at the armor profile of the T30. This is what I want to show you. We're comparing your armor against the standard ammunition of the AMX 30, which is a typical tier 9 penetration value, so 248. And look at your turret. Your turret is super strong, so you can certainly play hull down. You are playing in a hull down monster. Now, besides this, your gun handling is lackluster. And let's take a look at the statistics and compare to other tank destroyers on tier 9. So your DPM is lackluster, your penetration is good, your alpha is insane, your gun handling, your gun is actually precise, which is fine, but the rest of the gun stats are simply bad, and that is just a balancing factor for such a high alpha gun. So you are not a long-range sniper. Now the next thing I want to show you is, look at the camo values. You have the worst camo whatsoever. The Yak Tiger also has a bad camo, but look at the camo of the Mark II and even the WT on Panzer IV. Their camo is 50% better than yours. Now the camo of the Stritzwagen 103 is even more than twice better than your camo. So you are not a typical, let's say, sniping tank destroyer, but what you want to do is, and your strength is your turret armor and your high alpha gun, once again, which has weak gun handling stats. So you should not fight over a long distance, but you should fight on a shorter distance, i.e. you should support your heavy tanks in brawling against other tanks. So on a map like Erlenberg, find a spot in a city where you can hide your hull, and then you are a hull down monster and you can hold up enemy forces like no other tank in the game, and you can make sure that your team can win a strategic position and is not getting pushed out on such a position. Alright guys, that was it for today with my analysis of your replays. How do you like this series? Will you send me replays as well, or do you prefer some gameplay of me in which I offer tips and tricks? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.